and YouTube. Let's see, who else? I think that's it. Uh, Good evening. My name is Ren Jones. I'm waiting on Instagram to join in here. I got two different cameras running. What's up, Instagram? I was just having a conversation with Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We've got a quick and dirty live broadcast tonight. I want to talk about three important nutritional considerations for women in midlife who are active, right? I term this menopause only because it makes more sense and it takes less characters when I announce it. And I want to start off by saying are by no means is this population of humans, women who are in midlife going through menopause, by no means are they in a diseased state or a deficiency state. That's not why I'm talking about nutrition for this population. There's nothing to cure. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. This is a natural progression of your hormonal profile. But the reason that I entitled it that is because a lot of the ladies that are in this stage of life are bringing with them old nutritional habits from their earlier years of life, their 20s and their 30s, that may cause a tendency to worsen or exacerbate some of the things that they are dealing with. And I just want to offer you some considerations that may help you better take this journey through your menopause spectrum experience. Before I get into that, if you don't know who I am, my name is Ren Jones. I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm a certified corrective exercise specialist, certified level 1 and level 2 nutrition coach, and I'm certified in women's specific coaching through Girls Gone Strong. I have 3 different menopause certifications for health and fitness. One is through Dr. Stacy Sims, Menopause 2.0. One is through Girls Gone Strong. As always, shout out to Molly. One is through MedFit. Shout out to Dr. Carla D. So I want to get into it. Before I get into it, I got to pay the bills really quickly because I'm currently enrolling no more than 5 women over 30 who want to get off the diet and exercise roller coaster, who want to develop a better relationship with their own body and a better relationship with food without counting calories or macronutrients or weighing or measuring food. If that sounds like you, if you're ready to make this your healthiest year, DM me the word live, Live. We'll have a short chat, see what I can do for you. Let's get into the subject. So the first tip I want to give in these three different tips of maybe adjusting how you interact with food, your nutrition, as you're going through the menopause spectrum, perimenopause to menopause, which is technically one day, to postmenopause, which is every day after that. The first tip is really simple. It's so simple, you may think I'm making this up or lying about it if you had any interaction with Precision Nutrition or the coaches that Precision Nutrition turns out. You're probably familiar with this concept. But the first tip is to eat slowly, right? And you're thinking, what kind of tip is that, Red? Like, how is that even relevant to the menopause spectrum? How does that even help anything? 2 reasons why I use that as the first tip. Reason number 1 is eating slowly allows you to reconnect with your own body, your own hunger and satiety signaling in a way that's probably been lost to you, right? And if you think back, ladies, you may not be able to think back this far. That was stupid, what I just said. But I don't mind being a little stupid, but that was really stupid. If you consider, because you probably can't think back to when you were 2 or 3 years old, if you consider that when you were 2 or 3 years old and it was time for you to eat, eating became the event of the house, right? Everybody stopped what they were doing because the baby and or toddler was hungry, and it was an event. Oh, the baby's hungry. She's hungry. I think she's hungry. We need to give her something to eat. And somebody probably got a high chair, right? Somebody probably got your favorite bib. I'm sure that mine was Kermit the Frog or Spider-Man. Somebody got your most delicious baby food or some type of table, wherever you were in that transition. and somebody fed you slowly and intentionally. There was no rush. Nobody had to be anywhere except right there in the moment, feeding you, right? Just you getting in touch with your hunger as a little baby, and the choo-choo train came in, and then the spoon was get the excess off your lips, and then you chewed it, and they said, "It's good, isn't it good, sweetie?" And you were eating it, and then the airplane was my favorite. The airplane came in, and it came into the hangar, and isn't that good, sweetie? And you ate it, and everyone took their time for you to be able to connect with your hunger signaling and your satiety. And you know what happened when you got enough? You turned your head, right? Now, babies, you were a baby once, are born with the ability to do that instinctively. So what happened, Ren? If it worked so well, what happened? Well, here's what happened. Society started to intervene in your feeding. Because at some point you got to be 5 years old or 6 years old, and somebody said, hurry up and finish your breakfast, the school bus is coming. Or hurry up and eat because you have to get to school, right? And you got a little older and someone said, you better hurry up and finish that plate if you want to go outside. Or you better hurry up and finish your dinner if you want to watch your favorite show. Or you started getting information like, we don't waste food in this house, young lady. Or you asked for all of that food. You better eat all of that food, right? Or what about the starving kids? This is where the morality started to come in. What about those starving kids in country XYZ, right? And what happened as a result of that is it led you down the path of eating for external reasons, societal reasons, whether it be eating faster, whether it be feeling obligated to consume every single piece of food that you see in front of you, whether it was the morality of you not eating everything that's in front of you, right? These things intervened, but you were born with the ability to stop eating when you've had enough food. So why am I talking about it this way? For two reasons. Number one, there's a drastic level of underfueling in the context of active midlife women, and it's compromising with your health. Women are entering into training underfueled. They're coming out of training and not properly fueling afterward to allow themselves to create the adaptation that they want, the change to their body that they want. They're going hard in the paint and hardly eating, and it's compromising your ability to do what you want to do. Furthermore, it's likely leading you to a space where your body is going to stay in a catabolic state. Catabolic is the opposite of anabolic. Now, anabolic means you're building muscle. You're having great protein synthesis, right? Catabolic is the opposite. You're in a breakdown state. And if you're constantly eating, let me rephrase that. If you're constantly exercising with great intensity and you're constantly underfueled, you're going to constantly be breaking down the muscle, right? And that type of stress that you're putting yourself through, good stress, appropriate stress, but the type of stress that you're putting yourself through to get great intense exercise coupled with underfueling is going to have an effect on your endocrine system. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that, it only takes a few days of underfueling and exercising vigorously for your thyroid function to begin to downregulate. And as your thyroid function starts to downregulate, so too does your metabolism, and you find yourself in a space where you've actively lowered your own resting metabolic rate. Your resting metabolic rate is just the rate at which your body utilizes calories, practically without doing anything except maybe in sedentary situations. It's not a goal of anyone that I've ever interacted with as a client. I've never had someone come to me and say, Ren, what can you do to stress my thyroid, and lower my metabolism. I'm willing to pay for that. Nobody's asked me for that. However, regularly, I see women in this space, social media, rejoicing over the misinformation that they're being given about the intersection of their fueling and their exercise through the many phases of midlife, right? Every time someone convinces you not to eat and go work out, you're saying effectively, thanks so much. I'd like to overstress my thyroid and lower my metabolism and also waste away muscle and bone. I love that. Thank you for doing that. So because of the fact that there's a high rate of low energy availability, a high rate of being underfueled for the exercise that you want, but there's also a high rate of women who are concerned about their own potential for overeating. Eating slowly becomes a great in-between space, right? Because when you're eating slowly, you're not technically trying to undereat. You're not trying to find a calorie deficit. What you're learning to do is fuel your body properly to the extent that it feels fed and satiated, right? But not stuffed and overfed. And that will make sure that along with the second thing I'm going to talk about, that will make sure that you are adequately fueled at all points throughout the course of the day. That brings me to number 2, because one other thing that we want to look at for adequate fueling for the midlife active woman, one other nutritional consideration is when you're consuming fuel, right? Now, it probably did not matter in your earlier years when you ate, right? Probably didn't. And we've seen the idea, the concept of an anabolic window or a nutrient window. We've seen that debunked, right? However, most of that information in literature is not based on peri to postmenopausal active women, right? As a matter of fact, a lot of information is only sort of based on research done on men. Conversation for another time, but there's a lot of difficulty in getting great research done on women specifically, and even more specifically, active women, and even more specifically, active women in midlife. So, but here's what we do know. We know that you're going to have a stress response if you exercise. We know that you're going to be a little bit less resilient to stress as estrogen withdraws back half of perimenopause and the postmenopause, or at least as estrogen fluctuates during the perimenopausal phase. So you're not really as resilient to additional stressors as you may have been earlier in your life. And that can also put you into a breakdown state. We talk about the sympathetic drive, the sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight nervous system, versus parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest nervous system. And when you're in that heightened sympathetic nervous system, that heightened sympathetic drive, the chances of you having higher levels of stress hormone, cortisol, I shouldn't say stress hormone, but it's a hormone that gets released during stress in addition to doing other things. But the likelihood of you having a significant, steady increase in that hormone is really good if you're not being resilient to stress. So we want to time the feeding. We want to make sure that you're fed before you exercise. As little as 15 grams of protein here will do prior to exercise. And I know what a lot of you might be out there thinking, I never eat anything before I exercise. I can't tolerate food before I exercise. Egad, clutching of pearls. No way that I could eat that early in the morning. But again, like I said last night, we're not talking about a Rudy Tooty fresh and fruity from IHOP, right? You know, I don't need you to do a Denny's meal. I don't need you lining up early in the morning at Whataburger. But if we can get some fuel, a nominal amount of protein, a little bit of carbohydrate, some amino acids in your system going into your workout, that will really help you better manage that stress response, right? that'll really help you manage the body's want to get into that sympathetic drive where we find ourselves breaking down the body instead of building it up. We want to be in a state of protein synthesis, not a state of protein breakdown. So having some fuel right before, a little protein powder in your morning drink, your coffee. It's not the best thing to eat, but a little peanut butter on toast, right? Maybe some avocado on toast. Maybe some yogurt with a cup of yogurt with a few berries in it, right? All these things are adequate fueling for your exercise, because at this stage in your life, one thing that the research is clear on is the fact that we need to bookend the exercise with some type of nutrient. Right before you eat, right before you train and after you train. The other thing is getting adequate fuel after your workout, right? Because the stress of the workout has your body in two places that it can choose from. One place is it's like a sponge ready to soak up nutrients so it can change and adapt in the way that you want it to, right? The other place is it will go into a catabolic breakdown state, start to utilize the skeletal muscle that you already have on your body in order to feed itself. We don't want it to remain in a breakdown state. That's going to minimize your chances of your body adapting to the exercise stress that you did. The reason that you did all that exercise was to get some result. At this point, after you work out, your body is primed to work towards that result. It needs to be fed to stay in an anabolic state, a state where it's ready to build, at the very least, maintain the muscle, build, at the very least, maintain the bone, and prevent you from wasting that muscle away, which will predispose you, more than likely, to adding extra body fat. Your body's in a stressed state, a famine state, a stress response state. So the second thing that I want you to consider, second nutritional intervention, is fueling on the front and back side of your exercise routine. It becomes much more crucial at this point in your life. And if you find yourself exercising and dieting and being frustrated with your results, this is an indication of why that's happening, right? We've got to rethink what the body wants, what it wants to do, and rethink how it takes in fuel and how it utilizes it, because now we don't have the protective signaling of estrogen, specifically E2 estradiol, and that will allow your body, the absence of that hormone is really going to put your body in a state where it will very easily break down instead of building up. So that's the second methodology I want you to think about. The third methodology is the third thing that's very nuanced that I want you to consider as a woman that's in this spectrum, is adequate protein, right? A couple of things we know for sure about this stage of your life, perimenopause through to postmenopause, is number one, estrogen helps the body uptake protein. So if you're consuming the protein, the ability to absorb the protein from whatever sources, animal sources, plant sources, supplement sources, your ability to absorb that protein and use it to create muscle has been reduced by the withdrawal of estrogen. You're having a harder time uptaking protein and converting it into muscle. Muscle is everything that you want here. The second thing that we know is that for most women, they start to lose muscle on the other side of age 30. But what the research shows us is that the perimenopausal state is a state at which that muscle loss accelerates quite vigorously, right? You make it to 30, and then on the other side of 30, you start to lose muscle. And when we get into the perimenopausal state, that muscle starts to rapidly dissipate. The increased speed with which you lose muscle happens in the perimenopausal phase. It's really important that we prioritize protein to offset, number one, the muscle loss that would be inherently normal for the body at this stage. But number two, to offset the fact that the body's having a more difficult time with the absorption of protein. Don't get to skimp on protein at this phase in your life. And if you do skimp on protein, probably find that you have a harder time maintaining the muscle that's so important to your ability to maintain a certain body composition. Once the muscle starts to dissipate, not only do we downregulate the metabolism, but now we're ushering ourselves into sick care culture, right? Being feeble, weak, not being able to stand up from the toilet or sit down to it, not having your independence into your 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. All these things can be attributed to age-related muscle loss, sarcopenia, and age-related bone loss, osteopenia, and both of those are increased in speed when there's less protein available, less building blocks to help you build the muscle and maintain the bone that's so important at this stage. So I'm not going to talk here long about these things. I've given you the three things to consider. Number one, eating slowly, right? It's much more likely to keep you from overeating without introducing you to methodology that's going to cause you to be underfueled. And a lot of the time, that old calories in, calories out adage is not helpful for women who are active and also in the midlife transition. It's just not helpful. Also, a lot of the times, the reduction of calories, operating consistently in a calorie deficit at this stage of your hormonal life is not helpful, right? So if the only way you're able to regulate your nutrition, the only way you're able to interpret what you're eating is through a hardcore calorie count, macronutrient count, or under eating by calories, eating slowly can be a great asset in allowing you to be properly fueled and allowing you not to undereat. Second piece of this equation is timing your nutrition so that in the front of your workout, you're getting some carbohydrates. Again, some berries in a cup of yogurt or oatmeal work well here. Getting about 15 grams of protein before you work out, letting those amino acids get into your system so your body feels safe and ready to adapt to the stress of the workout, and having adequate fueling on the other side of your workout. You're at a time now, ladies, where the timing of your fueling becomes more significant than what you think. And you can eat at a calorie amount all day, right? You can make sure you get fuel all the time, but at this point, it becomes a bit more significant that the fueling comes at a very appropriate time, which was right before you exercise, right after you exercise. And then the third thing that we want to consider in generally is protein, getting adequate servings of protein throughout the course of the day. You might find yourself, around a gram of protein per kilogram of body weight, if not more, up to 2.4 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. There's more literature out there that talks about that specifically. I won't get into specifics now. But if you have questions, just DM me. Ask me questions. I'm happy to give you the details. I don't want to confuse anybody with the numbers. But those three considerations are important considerations for your nutrition through the menopause spectrum. Once again, I'm currently enrolling 5 women over 30 who want to build their healthiest relationship with their body, also build their healthiest relationship with food, without calorie counting or macronutrient tracking, without weighing or measuring food, and who want to strength train without spending hours and hours of their time doing cardio or beating themselves up in the gym. The minimum effective dose is what we work with here. But if that sounds like you, DM me the word live, L-I-V-E. I'll know where you saw me talk about this. L-I-V-E. Message me the word live, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we'll have a conversation. We'll see if my programs might be a good fit for you. Initially, it would be a 12 or 15 week program online. So I'll look forward to hearing from you. Actually, I have 4 spots available. Someone just enrolled this evening. But is that Brenda? What's up, Brenda? I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in. Come back and watch the replay. Ask me tons of questions in the comments if you need to. And until next time, Instagram, let's keep it simple. See you later. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Until next time, let's keep it simple.